There's a light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Learn, getting more out of life. Learn, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Hello, welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Luke Darcy. Great to be sitting alongside Joe Stanley as always.
Yeah.
Joe, Rachael Finch and Luke Hines. Hey, Hines.
Hey, buddy. Hey, guys.
Now, Rach, you're looking beautiful as always,
Oh,
but
thanks.
you've had...
A little bit more beautiful.
well,
this
what
week.
have you been up to?
I have just finished a 5-day juice cleanse. I stole your idea, Das, and did a 5-day juice cleanse with the Green Street Juice Company, who were phenomenal, by the way, in the process all along the way. Convinced my husband to do it with me, so I had a partner in crime, and it was incredible. Day 2 was probably the hardest day for me, but at the end, I just felt completely reset. I felt like I wanted to do it for a deeper, nourishing perspective and really heal my gut and just provide my body with that removal of excess toxins. So it was great.
Sign me up.
Well done to you. And Hines, I know one of the habits you can't stand is smoking. And a few weeks back, we had the head of the respiratory department at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, Dr. Lou Irving, here to talk about lung trials that are happening right across the country right now. But a question for you, where does that leave e-cigarettes?
I know there's this whole new trend of vaping. So this week we find out what it even is, how it's done, and is it actually any better for our health? Because it's something that there's not much research about. So I can't wait to get into that, guys.
Well, from lungs to gut, Joe, always a popular topic here on the House of Wellness.
Yes, you're right, Das. We do love talking
We
about
do.
digestion and gut health and how it impacts every part of your well-being. I'm fascinated by the gut, which makes me a great party invite. I'm always keen to learn more. So this week I went a little bit being John Malkovich and took a trip inside the human body.
It's time to talk all things gut. But settle in, it's a lengthy topic.
7 metres of small intestine. Oh, and just a cheeky 1.5 metres of large intestine. Amazing.
I'm taking a stroll through a giant-sized gut at the Melbourne Museum, designed to give an up-close and, yes, a hands-on feel for what lies within.
Gut feelings is all about breaking through that idea that your microbes are these disgusting, icky things that you've been told all your life you need to kill 99.9% of.
Exhibition curator Dr. Joanna Simkin is mad about microbes. After all, we have way too many of them not to love.
The average human has about 38 trillion microbes on them, and to give you some context, that's compared to 30 trillion human cells. So you're more microbe than human.
And while you're wrapping your head around that one, how about digesting this one? Our gut microbes also have a huge influence on our brain.
It's mind-boggling because one's down here and one's up there, but actually they're physically connected. So via this thing called the vagus nerve, which connects to your gut, runs all the way up and plugs into the base of your brain. So in that way, it's this kind of superhighway of messages going back and forth, so your brain and gut are both signalling to each other.
In fact, our gut is doing most of the talking.
Microbes seem to have such an influence on our personalities, how much you crave being around other people, or your memory or your behaviours even. Yeah, it really does get you thinking about how much of us is us and how much of us is our microbes.
So are our microbes a smaller version of us and our personalities?
So one story that really stayed with me was a study showing that one particular type of microbe that someone swallowed was able to send a particular signal up the vagus nerve to their brain to signal a particular part of their brain and encourage that area of the brain to produce more receptors. So the idea that the signalling could be that precise is really incredible and mind-blowing and opens up a whole field of personalised medicine and lots of future possibilities.
Beautiful foods, all good for our gut.
Because our microbes snack on everything we do, it turns out your mother was right. You are what you eat.
What your diet is at any age certainly influences your microbiome, and now we know of these links of your gut and mental health and the rest of your body's health as well. So the advice is to, yes, stick to a whole food diet, try and stay away from processed foods as much as you can, and you can't go too far wrong.
And as for stress, well, that's a real gut wrencher.
It can cause a kind of inflammation throughout your body, including the gut. And so when you've got an inflamed gut, that changes your gut environment and it changes which microbes will flourish there. So taking the time out for your mental health and some relaxation actually helps good microbes to flourish in your gut.
So the key takeaway, apart from eating less takeaway, is that microbes are mighty.
Our microbes are really important for our overall health. We need to look after them so that they'll look after us.
They're our little friends, our little buddies.
They're our little friends.
They're our little friends. Well, I really love that, and the most astounding part of that for me was the way that our gut controls so much of who we are and our moods, and even whether or not we want to be social. Because I think, you know, if you're not feeling particularly mentally well, you can really nurture yourself by eating the right foods.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area. And usually when we think about the gut, we think vile yellows and browns and what we see in the toilet bowl. But with exhibitions like this, it's really, it brings a really beautiful light, vibrant light to it. So it was really good to see.
And it goes to show when we have a gut feeling, our intuition is usually correct, and we're feeling anxious and scared. We feel it in our gut when we're feeling nervous. It's really incredible that those trillions of microbes actually determine who we are and how we feel.
Love your guts.
Yeah.
Good one.
I love
That
that.
link between gut and brain now is just such a well-worn path and theory. We continue our trip through the human body by looking at the life-saving present every 50-year-old gets in the mail right after this. You're watching the House of Wellness. If you're 50 years old, you would have received a special birthday present, Joe, in the mail, a bowel cancer screening kit. Now, none of us here are quite there yet, I think.
No.
But I do know people who have received the pack in the mail and openly discarded it, particularly guys, Joe, which isn't great.
Look, I guess it is the concept of putting your poo on a stick. It does turn people off, I get it, but it's a simple and easy process, and 90% of bowel cancer cases can be treated successfully. So it seems so crazy. Why wouldn't you just do it?
Today, 55-year-old mother of three, Helen Davis, is living a full and active life. But a sliding doors moment 5 years ago could have changed everything.
I got the bowel testing kit in the mail, and I think we all joke about it's our 50th birthday present. You know, we all get it when we turn 50. And I remember reading all about it and what had to be done. And I just thought, oh, I don't want to put my poo on a stick in the fridge.
Helen put the kit in a drawer and forgot all about it until it resurfaced 2 years later. But it was out of date, so she got another one. This time, she finished what she started.
And then sent it away, and very soon after got the result that it was positive. They found a really big tumour in my bowel. It's away. If I had have left it any longer, I don't think I'd be here today to tell the story.
Helen had no symptoms, so was stunned to learn she had stage 3 cancer.
All of a sudden I was living this nightmare. It's a very silent disease. I didn't have any symptoms at all. Good girl. Maybe looking back, I had a bit of bloating, but that was all. I'm not a big fast food eater or anything. I've always exercised, done walking or riding my bike. I don't smoke or drink. Even at work, all my friends would say, "You're not the one who's meant to have bowel cancer, you're the healthy one." So, yeah, it was really quite a shock.
While there's no explanation to account for her condition, Helen doesn't disregard the effects of high stress, which these days she keeps well under control.
I had this sort of feeling in my heart, like every day I'd wake up and it'd be like, "You're not dead yet, so let's live." I'm really thankful I'm here. I'm thankful I'm still seeing my kids grow up. I'm thankful that we got onto it so early. I don't know the future. I don't know what the next scan will say, but, you know, I'm very thankful all round, you know.
Now, Helen is very vocal about the life-saving kit that she once tucked away in a drawer.
They talk about bowel cancer. It's not the glamorous cancer. It's the yucky cancer, you know. It's not something we want to talk about. Just do your bowel kit test. It's gross, it's revolting, but it saves lives, and it saved my life. I'm here to tell you, please, just do it, because I nearly wasn't here to tell you to do it.
Yeah, what a powerful message that is. And someone that I know has heard that message many times joins us now. Dr. Graham Newstead is a bowel cancer expert. Graham, thanks for joining us.
Good day, nice to be here. Thank you.
Helen said it's not a glamorous topic. However, bowel cancer is one of the most treatable cancers if caught early. Is that correct?
Well, absolutely. And Joe was talking before about it not being a topic we want to chat about, and I'd like to make a dinner table conversation. It really is time. Yep. There isn't a woman in Australia who doesn't know what a pink ribbon means, and it's time we did this for bowel cancer as well, because the difference between bowel, breast and prostate, the latter two being the most common in the different sexes other than smokers, is that bowel is potentially preventable from polyps to cancer, the little growths, whereas breast doesn't have a pre-malignant condition, and neither does prostate, most common in the two sexes. But bowel is a preventable disease because it has a pre-malignant condition that we can find.
Well, I think it's just incredible that we're lucky enough in this country to have this service that is delivered to your door. It's a little reminder when you turn 50, happy birthday. But why, when we turn 50, is that an age at which it becomes more risky?
The peak incidence of onset of bowel cancer is 69. That's what I grew up as a medical student believing. We are now seeing, of all the cancers that occur, 1 in 10 are in people under 50.
Hey, Graham, what percentage of people do you estimate are getting the kits received on their 50th birthday and just throwing them away or not following through, like Helen told us?
It's wonderfully gone up by a tiny, tiny amount. It's gone from about 38% a few years ago to 41%. Big deal. That means 60% of people are still throwing them in the bin. They're saying, yuck, I'm not going to do this. So we went back to the government, Bowel Cancer Australia and other groups went back to the government and said, you need to have an awareness before you send out the test kits so that people know what they're going to get, and then they do it. And they've done that. We've gone up a bit, but it's still the yuck factor. One of the most common things that I will hear from a male patient that comes in for a colonoscopy when we're doing the telescope round the bowel, possibly for a positive test, FOBT, is that I'll say, I know you're here for a colonoscopy, but what brought you to come and have it done? And it's not infrequent for him to say, this is my wife's 50th birthday present to me. And I think the girls, the girls are the nurturers. My wife would not come down a ski slope once she'd had a baby as fast as she used to. And I think the girls get their breast checked, they get their cervical pap smear done, but they don't want to do, the guys especially don't want to do the bowels because they're macho and they're all right and it's going to happen to somebody else.
It's estimated 4 million kits will be sent out in the new year. Potentially, how many lives do you think you could save?
Well, theoretically, and probably not practically, but theoretically all of them. So we're talking about 15,600 cases in Australia per annum, and there are 5,300 deaths. Now, that's 103 people a week dying from a disease that you don't have to die from, because if you get a positive fecal occult blood test, the test kit, then you have a colonoscopy.
Which I get regularly, by the way, and they're not that big a deal.
No, there are worse things in life.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, the preparation's worse than the actual event.
much worse for me was getting delayed by fog in Sydney the other day coming home from America.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Shocking. So, you know, and it's not too big a deal.
Yeah.
But the only people that need the baseline colonoscopy will be those with increased risk. So if you've got a family history of bowel cancer, or you've had previous polyps or things like that. But if you have a positive FOBT, then you must get a colonoscopy in good time. And that's another problem we have, in that the more people that take up the test and do it, the more people that are on waiting lists for colonoscopy. And then, of course, one is federal and one is state. The federal government do for us the national screening program, fantastic. But at the state level, they then have to provide colonoscopic services for the positives. And we have good evidence to say that if you wait longer than 4 months, you will reduce your cure rate.
Oh, geez.
Because the cancer may have spread.
Well, Graham, it's a simple process that can make all the difference. So we really appreciate you sharing your insight with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Plenty more to come on the House of Wellness. But up next, we tackle the trend of vaping and ask, is it just an excuse to smoke? Back after this on the House of Wellness. Welcome back. Everyone is aware of the huge health risks of smoking, and thankfully we've seen smoking rates decline massively in the past couple of decades. But while the trend has gone down, another one, Joe, is on the rise.
Yeah, so we've all seen those weird cylindrical tubes called e-cigarettes. They're battery-operated devices that don't contain tobacco, but they do contain things like nicotine or chemicals in a vapour form rather than smoke. And they seem to be everywhere lately. But where did it all start?
In 2003, a smoke-free alternative to tobacco rolled out of China in the form of an e-cigarette. And since then, vaping has wafted across the globe. With over 8,000 flavours, including buttered popcorn, bacon, banana, and nicotine, it's no wonder it's a big draw card for youngsters. And of the 227,000 Aussies who vape, most are 18 to 24-year-olds. Vaping in some countries is promoted as a way to quit the habit, with a UK campaign saying vaping is 95% less harmful than smoking. And with our government blowing out the same advice, plenty of Aussie smokers are resting their butts and warming to the liquid alternative. But as it hasn't been around long enough to measure its true health impact, is it here to stay, or will it simply evaporate?
You know, the thing about that is that's all information that I don't feel has been widely shared in this country, yet people are taking it up. A lot, aren't they?
Look, and while most people choose vaping as a way to quit smoking or so they don't blow harmful, revolting, smelly clouds of smoke on others, but is it really healthier alternative, or are users simply replacing one bad habit with another?
I smoked for 40 years, had my first cigarette when I was about 8 years old. Around about 53, I saw a newspaper article on vaping, then just about a couple of weeks research on it and started that way.
Paul McNamara kicked his 4 decades-long smoking habit and turned his newfound hobby into a business.
So I need some more juice, please, and I also think I need some more coils for that one, the GT coil.
Sure.
So here's the thing about vaping. There's a couple of words that need some definition, like juice. That's the liquid flavour that goes into the device. There's a pod which holds the liquid, and then there's the coil. That's what heats the liquid to form the vapour.
So I've used the Vaporesso ones before, but these are the same, aren't they?
Yeah. These are very simple ones. You've got a battery and a pod. And all you have to do here is fill up your pod, then put it back in your battery, and then off you go.
E-cigs are reusable, and most of them can be charged by USB.
The battery will heat the coil, the juice will vaporise, and you inhale the vaporised juice. But the more heat you get from the vapour, the more warmth you get, generally, the more flavour you get out of the vape.
And from this novice in all things that have to be inhaled, flavour appears to be what this is all about. There's over 8,000 varieties.
Fuji apple strawberry nectarine, blood orange banana gooseberry, strawberry guava jackfruit, coffee and donut, cookie batter, then you've got your tobacco flavours, and there's another watermelon pineapple menthol. So we've got jackfruit.
I smoked for maybe a few years in my 20s and gave up smoking and didn't touch cigarettes for years.
40-year-old Ryan was lured by the notion of vaping being a cool thing to do.
When I first started vaping, it was a very, very simple device. You put liquid in it, you powered it on, and you said, now I got to the point where, you know, it's almost like building your own lightsaber. You have different mods, you've got different tanks and new coils and coils that get more flavour into the vapor. So, it's something that I kind of tech out and geek out about.
So I smoked for 12 years and then I was desperate to give up because I felt like I was dying. And then I got into vaping and now I've been vaping for over 3 years.
As a seasoned cigarette smoker, 31-year-old Jade had tried many ways to kick the habit.
Other means of quitting, patches and things like that, you're not getting that the same experience with your hand-to-mouth kind of movements, and I think it's probably the most effective way for people to quit smoking.
As a smoker, if you're smoking 20 a day, serious, high milligram cigarettes, you can start off with a higher milligram nicotine in your vape and slowly wean yourself off it. You can get to the point where you're just blowing out the smoke with nothing if you want to.
Across the country, our laws are still catching up with the technology.
When I first started vaping, it was in that grey area. They didn't know what it was. So you could still, by law, you could still vape inside if you wanted to. In nightclubs a few years ago, you'd see people sucking on the vape pens and stuff, and the bouncers would rush over and you can't smoke in here, and then they'd have that 10-minute long argument. Well, it's vaping, it's not smoking, and it's easier just to go outside.
Nowadays, when and where you can light up changes from state to state. Most commonly, the rules for smokers extend to e-cigarettes.
The one thing is that you have to vape where you smoke. So it's slightly unfair for a vapor who's trying to give up cigarettes or has given up cigarettes being forced into a section where you're forced to inhale cigarette smoke when you're trying to get away from it. So that's one massive flaw kind of in the legal system at the moment, I think.
Once you vape it out, it pretty much dissipates into the air. It's essentially water vapour. So, often you're right. You get shunted in with the other smokers, which can be difficult.
So, is it harmful? Well, when it comes to evidence, vaping just hasn't existed long enough for researchers to measure the long-term health effects.
I know the jury's still out on the health benefits of it and whether it's better than smoking or if it's not. And one study comes out and they say it is, another study comes out and contradicts that.
You can just feel the change in your body once you quit smoking and start vaping.
I admit I know nothing at all about this, Joe, and the research is still pretty limited, as we just heard. The health of vapors and its effect on bystanders still unclear.
Yeah, that's true, and it is marketed as a product that will help you quit smoking, and there's no conclusive evidence that it actually does that. Although we know someone very well, beautiful Rach in makeup, she's quit smoking because she vaped for just 2 weeks, and now she does neither.
Which is
so isn't that fantastic?
Well, I think the thing is there's no regulation on vaping yet and e-cigarettes, and although that you can buy them online from overseas, most countries don't have any regulations governing how they're manufactured or how they're sold. So it is a massive grey area on this one.
Well, it is, but it is illegal in Australia to sell electronic cigarettes that contain nicotine, and also in most states it's illegal to sell anything that resembles a tobacco product. Okay. So in Australia, if you're buying it legally, then you're pretty much okay, but that's why people buy online, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there's a definite subculture emerging with all the different devices, the flavours, which makes it somewhat appealing to children and kids.
And that is alarming.
Which is the worrying part. So I definitely think there needs to be some sort of a lot more governing body around when and where specifically vapors can vape.
Yeah, good point. The jury's out on vaping, but after the break, we've got a guaranteed way to have you breathing easier that's definitely not on the nose when we look at the sweet smells and remedies that come straight from Mother Nature. Welcome back to the House Awareness of our five senses. Smell is one of the most powerful. It triggers memories, can influence your mood, and can even act as an early health warning. Joe and Rach, I know you both like a bit of an oil burner.
Rach, you love it.
I am addicted to essential oils. I've been using them for about 5 or 6
You smell
now.
amazing.
I've got peppermint on today, but I use them for so many different healing reasons. I put them in my kids' bath when I feel like I'm sick or something's coming on. I cook with them. I diffuse them every day. They're just, that's my addiction.
I'm coming to your house.
Yes, it does sound beautiful, but Rach, did you know it's a bottomless pit when it comes to aromatherapy, as I found out when I took a trip to Melbourne's Botanic Gardens.
It's winter, it's cold and it's raining. But a stroll through a forest as the rain slops on the leaves is not only invigorating, it's an aromatic feast.
Kalkini, this is so beautiful, this canopy, isn't it?
Don't you love it?
I do love it.
Now this one here is our paperbark, part of our Melaleuca species, so our tea tree. You've heard of tea tree?
Yes, I've heard of tea tree.
And taking me for this refreshing tour of Aussie natives is Kalkini, who's got the good oil on just about every Indigenous species in Melbourne's Royal Botanic Gardens.
Now, the oil that people know comes from the leaves. You can grab branches from these trees, wave those branches over fire. That heat is going to extract the oil from these leaves. Slap that all over you, massage it into your body if you need, inhale it if you want to clear your airways, and it'll help with your hunting and your illnesses as well. Anything like that.
So you're extracting oil and burning it. It's aromatherapy,
It's
essentially.
like aromatherapy, yeah, our traditional aromatherapy that we've been doing for tens of thousands of years.
Aromatherapy has been practiced for centuries by a variety of cultures. And because so many of Aussie native plants yield high levels of essential oil, it makes sense that Indigenous Australians use them therapeutically.
Tegan, how does native aromatherapy work?
Australia has such a large amount of incredible native flora, and it can really benefit your skin, your mood and your well-being. When you combine these native ingredients with other essential oils, you can really create some beautiful, unique blends that can target specific needs.
When I think of aromatherapy, I think of lovely oil diffusers. Are there other ways to experience aromatherapy?
Yeah, look, those oil diffusers are so popular. However, our aroma mists are a great way to use essential oils when you just don't have a diffuser available. So you simply spray it in the air and you can enjoy those aromatic benefits of essential oils. Also, our roll-ons, which are perfect for on the go. So they've been specially formulated to be applied directly to your skin and perfect size for your handbag as well.
So behind us here, Joe, we have our lemon myrtle. She's probably one of my favourite trees. If you really want to, here's a leaf.
Yes.
Crunch it up in your hands for me and then give it a smell.
That's so strong.
So strong. If you have a sore throat, you can chew on these fresh leaves. It will help soothe your sore throats. If you have a headache, inhale the fumes off of these leaves. It will help your headache. If you like tea, you can boil it in some boiling water.
I can chew that now.
You can chew that now. You may not like the taste though, but go for it.
I have got a sore throat, coincidentally.
It may leave a bit of a bitter taste in your mouth.
It's a bit bitter.
It's a bit bitter, yeah. It may leave your mouth a bit numb.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. What different life challenges do the different blends address?
Sleep and stress are two of the really big ones. We've also got things to help focus your mood, but also to boost your energy as well.
Kalkini, who is this beautiful creature here?
This one here is our coast banksia. If you have a look, you'll see a few of her flowers at different stages. We've got her freshest flower here. Now, when they're sort of at their freshest stage, they have a lot of nectar. They hold a lot of nectar. So if you're traveling, you're hunting or you're gathering, that nectar inside, you can kind of use that as sort of a Powerade or a Gatorade supplement.
An energizer.
An energizer. Or we can use it as cordial as well, infuse it in some water.
Is that because it's got like a high sugar content?
Because it's got a high sugar content, all of that nectar. It's really beautiful.
How did you discover all these beautiful Australian flora that you can use?
Well, we've been distilling native eucalyptus for over 165 years, so for us it was a really natural progression to move into other Australian native botanicals. And we have everything from kakadu plum to waratah to banksia, tea tree and eucalyptus, just to name a few.
And with an astounding 24,000 species of native plants in Australia, I get the feeling we've only just scratched the surface.
That is definitely my kind of medicine, and we are so lucky here, Joe. The aromas found naturally in the Australian bush are some of the best in the world.
Absolutely, and they have great medicinal properties, don't they, Gerald?
They do, Joe, and we've looked at lemon myrtle for throats.
Beautiful, yes, and it numbs your throat, so it's got an anaesthetic, I guess.
I could see that, and we looked at banksia for energy, but I want to talk about another energiser, a beautiful herb, multiple uses, and it's called turmeric.
I love turmeric. I use it a lot in my cooking when I'm doing curries or Moroccan dishes. It's so good for you. Can you tell us the background to it?
This is an Indian herb, Indian subcontinent herb, Joe, Southeast Asia. It's been used there for thousands of years. In fact, a very valuable herb used in trading once upon a time. So it imparts energy. It's energetics for digestion. And it works beautifully in actually settling a lot of the digestive issues we have. So it helps digestion of protein, it helps our gut microbiome, which we know a lot about now. It basically helps the energy and the fire of digestion to help us get through good absorption of food.
Oh, and it smells beautiful. And what about the incredible colour? It always strikes me very festive.
Yes, it is.
What are some of the other herbs you have here?
We normally find turmeric, Joe, in combination with things like chamomile, and we use chamomile to help us sleep, don't we? So it's a balancing, settling herb for gut dysfunction. We can also add peppermint, which is there as well. It acts a little further down into the bowel. We can also add pepper. Now, black pepper helps that Ayurvedic digestion called Agni, digestive fire. And the beaut part about all these is that they are often available in a vegetarian and vegan supplement together that's almost a one a day. So it gives you a balance over the whole day to ensure you're able to absorb the nutrients from your food. People with digestive imbalances, things like nausea, constipation, diarrhoea, alternating sometimes, any of those symptoms show that your digestion needs rebalancing. Here's a combination to do it.
And it's safe for anybody who may feel a little bit of that upset tummy?
Yes, because it rebalances. Now, anything more serious, of course, you get some advice from your healthcare practitioner, but this is a very gentle combination available, as I said, in that once-a-day type supplement.
And the key is to eat slowly and mindfully to get plenty of fibre and high intake of energy-rich natural whole foods, and of course, lay off on the processed items. Thanks so much, Gerald. The A to Z of Vitamins is brought to you by Go Healthy, New Zealand's #1 premium supplement brand, now available in Australia.
Welcome back. The importance of getting a good night's sleep can't be overstated. If we don't, we feel sluggish and unmotivated, and it can affect everything from our appetite to our moods and even long-term mental health. Here to tell us more, welcome Dr. David Cunnington from the Sleep Health Foundation. David, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Hi.
A good night's sleep is driven by our internal body clock or our circadian rhythm. How does this affect our health and our well-being?
So we're biological beings, so we were developed to live on a planet that has a light-dark cycle. So our brain senses that. And so we sense when the sun goes down, melatonin levels start to rise, we feel sleepy. And then when the sun comes up, we get that light, it suppresses melatonin, we feel more alert. Problem is, in this society, we've got light and we try and mess with that natural cycle, and it really can interfere with our sleep patterns.
So our lifestyles just don't work to that kind of light-dark. Most of us work late or early or whatever. What sorts of things can throw our circadian rhythm out?
So light is one of the things that can throw it out. So getting light from devices or lights suppresses melatonin, so it delays the time that we feel sleepy and just pushes that back later. Busyness is the other thing. So rather than when the sun goes down, the signal for, OK, down tools, my day's done, we're still doing things long after the time the sun's gone down. And that keeps our brains really busy. And part of it too is our expectation of ourselves. In today's world, we expect a lot of ourselves, and to get all of that done, the brain's busy and there's that, have I done a good enough job? And now I've got to switch off and get the perfect sleep, because if I don't, there's going to be these consequences as well.
We're always on. It's like we get an email at 11 p.m. I feel like I have to respond straight away. What does that mean then, David, for shift workers, teenagers who oversleep or sleep in, and travellers who are suffering from jet lag?
So they're really challenges to sleep. All of those things are going to expect us to try and sleep outside of the light-dark cycle, or at times when our body's not ready for sleep, or expect that we're trying to switch off in this unrealistic short time. So shift work's an example. There might be a really short turnaround time between shifts, or people may have to get up much earlier than what they're used to for breakfast radio, for example. And it's just that people are chronically short on sleep. And once you get short on sleep, you then start to get anxious about sleep. I've only had this much sleep, I'm feeling tired. If I don't get this amount of sleep, it's going to just amplify and cause problems. So it is important to try and almost back away from that a bit and recognise if there are challenges to sleep, like shift work or for teenagers, to go a bit with where our normal rhythms are and not try to sort of live that busy life where, OK, I'm forced to sleep at this time, so I must make it work at these times, but to try and actually have some flexibility around it.
So we're evolving from that basic cycle, and we've got everything coming in from technology, like you've said, Rach. But also, how does the sun play a role in this? Should we be getting out and getting vitamin D to make our body clock get into rhythm?
Absolutely. Light's one of the keys for the circadian rhythm, and the best light is outdoor light, because that's what as biological beings we're developed to respond to. And indoor light's often not quite the right wavelength. It can give the wrong messages late in the day or the right messages at the wrong time of the day. So outdoor light gets it right. That's what as human beings we're designed to adapt to. But if you can't always get outside, it's a matter of recognising those colder colour temperatures. The blue-green colour temperatures simulate morning outdoor light and are very stimulating. The warmer colour temperatures are a bit more neutral for the body clock. So think of what a candle used to look like, or gas lights or incandescent lights. Now we have LED lights that are that very white, harsh colour temperature.
Yeah, on that colour temperature, I'm a big believer in reducing the colour temperature of my screens, for one, but wearing blue blockers. I don't know if you've heard of these, but they help block the blue-violet light from technology in all my devices, which could in turn affect my sleep cycle. Do you believe in those?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a role for those. But think of it, it's important about the time of day. So having a blue blocker glass on during the middle of the day is actually giving your body the wrong message.
So, David, you mentioned breakfast radio. I did it for 12 years, not anymore, but Darcy's still in that sleep-deprived state, the poor thing. But I think anybody who works a job that means that they don't get normal sleeping patterns, it does affect your mental health. I look back at those 12 years and I was struggling with sort of a low-grade depression a lot of the time, just from fatigue. And I think that's common across a lot of society. What can we do to adjust our daily patterns when our lifestyles are such that we kind of can't help the fact that we might be sleep deprived?
So a place to start is being less strict or rigid around sleep. So we have this idea that we get one shot at sleep per 24 hours.
Oh, yes.
So a nice example for breakfast radio is, you know you're going to be up early and you've got a limited opportunity for sleep, but you know your shift is going to finish reasonably early as well. So program in a second opportunity for sleep at end of shift.
Right.
And that takes the pressure off the overnight sleep as being, I've got one go at it, I have to get it right. If I don't get it then I've got to bridge right across the day. So for shift workers, it's really helpful to just think of the day in different chunks.
I think that's really helpful for new mums too, and parents who are sleep when you can, when your baby's sleeping, you sleep, just take whatever you can get, basically.
And the people I see who have trouble with sleep, particularly new mums, are ones whose sleep's been a sensitive topic before they get pregnant.
Right.
And they're very sort of protective of sleep and don't go well with that. Yeah, whenever, I'm going to sleep when I get a chance. Whereas the mums who do a bit better are a bit more flexible around sleep.
Hey, Dave, thanks for coming in. Really appreciate it. Helping us to all sleep a little easier. Plenty more still to come right after this on the House of Wellness.
For a dinner dish that's rich in taste, light on effort and high in nutrients, my chicken with a creamy mushroom sauce ticks all the right boxes. To make it, we start by pan-frying chicken thighs and setting them aside. Then in the same pan, we cook chopped onions, and once they're soft, add garlic. In go the sliced mixed mushrooms, lemon juice and a sprinkle of lemon zest. And then we leave it all to cook. Adding Bioglan collagen bone broth helps heal your gut lining, reduces intestinal inflammation and supports joint health. Simmer until the mushrooms are soft, add parsley and take off the heat before stirring through the silky, smooth yogurt. My chicken and creamy mushroom sauce is simple and satisfying. And for an even lighter meal, the mushroom sauce makes a great topping for pasta too.
Welcome back. Now, Jo, did you know that the shortest day of the year is nearly upon us?
Yes, I did. It's the winter solstice, which has the least sunlight hours, and it overlaps with National Vitamin D Awareness Day, which is on 25th of June. It's something we don't generally think about. I mean, we're out and about and absorbing natural sunshine, but do you know what the benefits of vitamin D are?
I'm a mum. I'm a mother of two. I have a 2-year-old daughter, Poppy, so 2 going on 25. And then I have a 5, almost 6-month-old son, Billy Burgess, who is 10 kilos and running our household at the moment. When you become a mum, you find that you're always learning. And I think that even when you fall pregnant, you're suddenly learning new things about your body. You're learning to partake in new health conversations that you might not have been having before because you're responsible for creating this new life and you want to do the best that you possibly can. You know, I was shocked to learn that only 44% of pregnant women knew about the importance of vitamin D. Now, that's a pretty shocking stat when it comes to developing and maintaining healthy bones for life. Getting outdoors, staying active, eating the right foods, doing your research. That's how I monitored my levels. And so I think it's just important for women to have the conversation with their GP, make sure their vitamin D and their calcium levels are all where they should be, and then make the lifestyle changes if they need to. For my kids, healthy is all about getting outside every day, even when it's raining. I just feel like it's such an integral part of our day, being outside, taking in the world around us, to appreciate, how beautiful the world is through their eyes. What I would say to new mums, sure, be organised, but also cut yourself some slack. Sometimes just getting out to the park and having that one trip outside is what I like to call a big little win. Like, it might be a small win for someone else looking in, but it might be a huge win in your day. And it's learning to pat yourself on the back. Sometimes you get through the day and your child is alive at the end of the day. They're fed, they're smiling, and they're dressed and they're clean. That's a massive win.
Yeah, that was former magazine writer, influencer and new mama bear Phoebe Burgess, who welcomed baby Billy earlier this year to join her gorgeous daughter Poppy. Now, she talked about a few things, Gerald, especially the importance of vitamin D to bone health. Now, I guess the thing is we sort of take this for granted because we're going outside a lot. Sunshine is known, or vitamin D is known as the sunshine vitamin. So if we're going outside, aren't we getting enough of it already?
At this time of the year, Rach, probably not, because there's not as much available sunshine. And even if the sun is shining, we're often rugged up as well. So we probably assume we're getting plenty, but we're not.
So some people then would be more at risk of vitamin D deficiency?
Sadly, Australian Bureau of Statistics figures show about 1 in 4, 25% of us have insufficient levels of vitamin D in our system. That's quite amazing in Australia.
How can newborn babies are born with vitamin D deficiency?
Supplementation during pregnancy, Rachel, is the key here, because breast milk is a very poor supplier of vitamin D. Now, we need that D, of course, for muscles, for bones, for immune function, teeth. All of those need to be formed properly, and we need D in there.
When you say teeth and bones, I automatically think calcium.
Yes.
Is there a link between calcium and vitamin D?
It's a very close link, Rachel, because you need vitamin D to help the absorption of calcium. They're very intimately linked. One needs the other.
Okay, so the million-dollar question, how do we know we are deficient in calcium or vitamin D?
It's one of these things, Rachel, that we really don't often know. So if you suspect that you're not getting vitamin D, have a word to your healthcare practitioner, consider a supplement. You may need a blood test to sort that out.
Testing is always important. Thank you so much, Gerald. Over to you, Sunshine.
Well done, Rach. Thank you, Gerald. We've covered a lot of ground today, inside and out. That's our show for this week. Go to our website, houseofwellness.com.au, for more on today's show. And don't forget, as always, to tune into the House of Wellness radio show every Sunday. And the Winter magazine is out now with our own Rachael Finch on the cover. Make sure you check out Finchy.
Don't look at it.
Look out for that one. And as always, thanks to our very good friends at Chemist Warehouse. We'll see you next time.
I can't wait to pick up the topic.
Sharing time.